Good morning. It's Monday. Happy Memorial Day to you. We're going to read Luke 23. We're going to do big chunks of it this week, try to finish this book this week. We've got 2 chapters to go. We're going to read 1 through, it's broken up into sections here, 1 through 25. Let's read it. So then the whole company of them arose and brought Jesus before Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man misleading our nation and forbidding us to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is Christ, a king." Pilate asked him, "Are you king of the Jews?" He answered, "You have said so." Then Pilate said to the chief priests and the crowds, "I find no guilt in this man." But they were urgent, saying, "He stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judea, from Galilee and even to this place." When Pilate heard this, he asked whether the man was a Galilean. And when he learned that he belonged to Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him over to Herod, who was in Jerusalem at the time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was very glad, for he'd long desired to see him, because he had heard about him, and he was hoping to see some sign done by him. So he questioned him at some length, but made no answer. The chief priests and scribes stood by, vehemently accusing him. And Herod with his soldiers treated him with contempt and mocked him. Then, arraying him in splendid clothing, he sent him back to Pilate. And Herod and Pilate became friends with each other that very day, for before this they'd been at enmity with each other. Pilate then called together the chief priests and rulers and said to the people, "You brought me this man as one who was misleading the people. And after examining him before you, behold, I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving death has been done by him. I will therefore punish and release him." But they all cried out together, "Away with this man! Release to us Barabbas," a man who had been thrown into prison for an insurrection started in the city and for murder. Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus, but they kept shouting, "Crucify, crucify him." A third time he said, "Why, what evil has he done? I found in him nothing deserving death. I will therefore punish and release him." But they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who'd been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, for whom they'd asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will. What we know about Pontius Pilate from history is that he was a pretty ruthless guy who didn't have a lot of time for people like Jesus. He would have normally said, "You're not a king, take him away." And if they'd said, "Crucify him," he'd have said, "Okay, fine, crucify him. Get him out of my sight, I don't care." But here we see Pilate trying to be fair, saying he hasn't done anything wrong. He has committed no crime. I can't punish him. I can't execute him when he's innocent. And they keep saying, "No, no, kill him, kill him, kill him." And they ask for Barabbas. It's not clear from history, from other sources, that the Jews did this, that Pilate released somebody to them on the Passover. That's just not, we don't know that happened. Maybe it happened this time, maybe it happened every time. We just don't know. But that's what the scriptures say happened, that they released Barabbas, who was guilty, and took Jesus off to be crucified. So he is an innocent man punished for crimes that others have committed. Us, right? There's a scene in one of Frederick Buechner's books, I can't remember which one, where he has Jesus before Pilate, and Pilate is trying to stop smoking, and he's trying to impress the young sergeant who's standing over there guarding the place, and he's grumpy, and he's had a fight with his wife, and so he's crucify him, because he just doesn't have time to be bothered. It's a great scene, really paints Pilate as one of us. He's a person just like the rest of us. He's not some big evil guy. But he is ruthless and cruel, and so he finally does not let the Jews. He doesn't tell them this is what's going to happen. Move along. He lets them prevail, and they do. So Jesus is on his way to be crucified. More tomorrow. Have a great Memorial Day.